Evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening, everybody. May I please request everybody from Madhuban to raise their hands? The team from Madhuban who's joined, could you please raise your hand? Yeah. Banu Rekha, ma'am, just from the team from Madhuban. Thank you so much, everyone. Hi, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our first meeting of Commune. That is a master grammar session by Ms. Anuradha Murthy. I extend a very warm welcome on behalf of Madhuban Educational Group Books and my entire team who's present here. There are a lot of people who are joining in. Let's wait for another 1 minute and before we start the session. I would request everyone if you could go on mute. Should there be any query or any doubt anywhere, please feel free to send us a message. You can also message us in the group. Today with me, I have here Kirti Tilani, Senior Product Manager, Madhuban, Biju Nair, Product Manager, Madhuban, and Smita Pal. So these 3 team members, along with me, we are here. For any question or any query, you can connect with them directly. And you can also send us a WhatsApp message if there's a question or query. But I'll request everyone to please be on mute so that we do not interrupt the session in any form. For any questions or any queries during the session, please feel free to send us a chat message. I'm lowering down the hands which are raised for now. I hope nobody has an issue with joining or with connecting with the audio. There are a lot of teachers who have not connected with audio. May I please request everyone? Kirti, you're there? Hi, Kirti.
Hi, Mani. Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Kirti, can you please send us a message saying how everybody can connect with their voice? I see a lot of teachers are not connected on audio. Thanks. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So if any one of your colleagues is not, you don't see a mic sign next to it, they cannot listen to this session. So I would request if it's one of your teachers, Kirti is also putting a message in the chat box. And if you can suggest them to click on the mic button next to the camera and connect with their audio, else they will not be able to listen to anything. Yeah, I see a lot of teachers are connecting. All right. So we have a resource person connected with us. Once again, I request everyone to please keep their mics on mute. I am everyone. Just give me a second. I'll just put everybody on mute, okay? Because I see some people are. It's just to avoid any kind of a disturbance from the background. Sometimes, there's some disturbance from the background from different people. Just to avoid that. I would also like to check if I have a few teachers online with me today. Do I have Miss Sujata Menon here? Sujata ma'am, can you unmute or raise your hand? Miss Sujata Menon. Miss Sujata Menon. If you can raise your hand, or if you can unmute and say you're there. Okay, do I have Miss Sangeeta Deka? Miss Sangeeta Deka. Sangeeta ma'am, are you here? Sangeeta Deka from Guwahati, Assam. Do I have you here with me? All right. Okay, so without further delay, I would once again a very warm welcome to the teachers who've just joined in on this session. So this is the first Master Grammar session of the Commune by Madhuban Educational Books, where on a common understanding from all the teachers, we are going to talk about the tension of the tenses, which was one of the chapters, one of the topics which everybody felt is the most challenging for all of us. So very warm welcome. I have with us Ms. Anuradha Murthy, which is our resource person for the day, and she is a mentor for the Commune also, and she'll be walking us through all the Master Grammar classes via the Commune. So welcome, a very warm welcome, Anuradha ma'am, to this session.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. And Himani, can I share screen from my end?
Yes, ma'am. Just give me a second, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You can share now.
Okay. I will try because I'm not too used to Zoom. So let me know if it is working.
Perfect, ma'am. I can see your screen and full screen mode. It's working perfectly.
All right, fine. Okay. So everybody, good evening. And we are starting with tension in the tenses. Which I can very well understand everybody is having a major problem with this particular topic. When we asked the various topics, from all the children, from all the teachers, that which topic would you like me to start with, this was sort of a no-brainer. Everybody wanted about the tenses, and it is a very strange thing, okay, that we are getting so worried about tenses, and I'll just tell you why. Can you all see the screen clearly, Himani?
Yes, ma'am. The screen is visible, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So if you look at tenses, all right, tenses deals with verbs. It is absolutely impossible to frame a sentence without a verb. I am speaking with you. I don't know how many verbs I have used while in these, hardly 1 minute that I have been speaking. From day one, ever since we begin speaking, we are using verbs in our mother tongue. And from day one that we are speaking in English, we are using verbs and their various tenses. We must be doing something right because we are able to communicate accurately, as in people understand what we are saying, people understand when something happened to us or when something is going to happen, depending upon how we are speaking. However well we speak or we don't speak, they are able to understand. Even the child in the nursery grade is able to tell us what happened to him yesterday, what happened to him in the morning, what happened to him in the bus when he was coming to school, and whether he is going to celebrate his birthday the next day. We get a clear idea of the timeline when he speaks to us. So when we are speaking with each other, when we are speaking with the littlest child that joins the school, we are constantly using tenses, and 95% of the time we are using it correctly. Then when we are having to teach the children to use the tenses accurately. Okay, now I would like you to do something for me. Okay, could you do this for me? Breathe in, breathe out. Once more, I can't see most of you, but I'm hoping all of you do this. Breathe in, breathe out. Was that very difficult? Would you be able to tell a child of 2 or 3 years old to do this with you? If the child is sitting in front of you, can you tell the child, first of all, of course, the problem is to get the child to sit down in front of you. That is the problem. But would there be any problem in getting him to breathe in and breathe out? How would you tell him to breathe in or breathe out? You will tell him, child, sit down in whichever language, and then you'll say, breathe in, breathe out, right? You're showing him, okay? And if he does, then you will say, no, 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 breathe in is, breathe out is, you are doing it. Will you do this? Will you tell him, when you're breathing in, signals from the respiratory center in your brain travel down the nerves to your diaphragm and other muscles. The diaphragm is pulled flat, pushing out the lower rib cage and abdomen. At the same time, the muscles between your ribs pull your rib cage up and out. This expands the chest and draws air into the lungs. Air is pulled into your nose or mouth and into your windpipe, then divides into airways supplying the left and right lungs. This air passes down the airways, which divide another 15 to 25 times, and finally into thousands of smaller airways until the air reaches the air sacs. Are you going to tell this? Are you going to tell this to a child who is in the 10th standard also? You are not going to. You will think, if anyone tries to tell you this is the way to teach breathe in, breathe out, first of all, I have only told you about breathe in this. Okay? You will think that that person is absolutely crazy. And this information, even if you are putting it into a song and you are dancing in front of the child and you're telling, he is still not going to get it. Absolutely not going to get it. And if you tell this is what breathing in is, he will think, my God, breathing is very difficult. And he is breathing at the time of feeling that breathing in is difficult. Okay. And though I'm giving a very maybe obvious kind of an example, but this is exactly what we are doing with tenses. When the child is telling you, ma'am, I'm having a problem with tenses, he is using tenses. When you're telling a child, child, you have not understood, you are using tenses to tell him. It is normal. It is in the normal conversation. So why are we getting completely tied up with rules and regulations? Why? Why are we giving all these, tables and things like that to the children? How do we therefore go about teaching tenses in the class, right? That I think, rather than what I have understood your problem is, because I have myself gone through all this problem, is not about yourself understanding about the tenses. You know, and whenever you are in a bit of a doubt, Google madam is always there to help you out, right? But then why are you having a problem? Because you don't know how to transmit this knowledge that you have to your students in an easy manner. I feel that's where the problem is, and that's where all of you want some help. In case you need help in specific tenses, please, after I finish, please go ahead and ask me. I'm more than ready to help you. But this is what I thought would be your problem. Now, what happens when we are teaching? So let me take it from grade 1, how we go about teaching the tenses. So those of you, sorry? Okay. So, all right. So for
please, I'll just I'm so sorry, ma'am, Anuradha ma'am. I'll just
I
mute
thought
everyone.
someone was asking me something. Yeah.
Teachers, I've muted everybody. So you cannot unmute yourself. If there's anything, raise your hand. I'll quickly come up and I'll ask you, and or put it in the chat box. And another reminder, participation certificates are not for participation. They are for active participation. I and my team here, again, I'm repeating, Biju, Kirti, Preeti, Smita, 5 of us, we are here noting down whoever is most active. You can keep your cameras on. You can be active on the chat window. We are noting down certificates are for active participation. Okay. Thank you so much, Radha ma'am.
Yeah. So in the school for grade 1, after teaching nouns, we go on to verbs, right? And how do we teach the verbs? There are a lot of pictures, and then we say this is walking, this is talking, this is skipping, and this is sitting and drinking, sleeping, whatever it is, right? We have a lot of these pictures and we have these words. So what are we saying? We are saying walking, talking, sitting. What are we using actually? You're using the present participle, correct? And which tense obviously uses present participle? The continuous tense. When we begin teaching verbs to the children, what do we start with? The simple present tense. And the simple present tense is by far the most difficult tense of all the tenses, because we don't use the simple present tense in the present tense. When I am speaking with you, I am using the continuous tense. I don't say I teach you, I talk to you. I do not speak like that. I say I am talking with you. So when you are teaching the children and you're saying that today we are going to be doing the present simple present tense, the tense that you're using to speak is the present continuous tense. So the child is hearing something, seeing something else. So doesn't it make more logical sense that after teaching about the verbs, identifying the verbs, we first start with continuous tenses, okay? You need to there's something that I need to tell you about myself, that I always challenge what is given in the textbooks, even in my own textbook. Okay, because when I look at the book, I first see, does it make logical sense to me? When I'm using it in the school, when I'm using it in the class, does it really help me? And if it doesn't, then I see what in that textbook, how can I change things in the textbook so that I can. The textbook is not a Bible. Okay, so in the textbook, if they have given the simple present tense as the first tense to use, that does not mean that you have to use that as the first tense to use in the class. I would suggest that please use the present continuous tense. Begin with that. Okay, so when you first are using verbs and you are asking the children to identify what a verb is or what are the action words that are going on, then after that, if you teach them the use of is, am, and are, which is also one of the things that are there in the grammar textbook, then just you have to put those two together, and there you have the present continuous tense. Okay, I know I'm asking a shift in your thinking, but then, sorry, if you are asking me something, I am going to ask you, change your thinking. Okay, so like Karl Marx, I have just quoted this. Karl Marx once said, workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. I would say, teachers of India, unite. Teach as you speak, however you speak, because you have nothing to lose but your preconceptions. Your teacher taught you in one particular way, you struggled. That doesn't mean that you pass on that struggle to your child. Okay, you are more proficient in the language than your previous generation. Okay, use that to your advantage. So how do we grade the tenses? Ideally, in grades 1, 2, and 3, you only should be talking about simple and continuous tenses, nothing more. 4, 5, and 6, you can, most of the time it is simple and continuous. In fifth, you begin with perfect tenses. You are just introducing what a perfect tense is, how to make a perfect tense. And then grade 7 upwards is where all the problem begins, which is all the tenses. Do not be in a hurry to teach all the exceptions to the tenses. When I'm using the future tense, then you can use I will walk, but you have to use I am going to walk in these kind of situations and all that. Do not go into all this. Do not go. I will tell you how you can make things much easier. What is form and what is usage? Form is how the child will make that verb, how the child, sorry, will make the tense. Okay, how is he going to understand which tense without knowing that this is simple tense, present continuous, blah, 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 but how to do it. So in grades 1, 2, 3, and 4, the child should only learn the form, how to form a sentence. He does not need to worry when to use the simple present and when to use the present continuous tense. Right at this time, he doesn't need to worry about that at all. Okay, he just needs a broad framework in grades 3 and 4, and then the basic difference between a simple and a continuous tense. That is, when you're writing a continuous tense, it is something that goes on continuously. That is all, nothing more. In grade 5, the child can be taught the difference in the usage of these two tenses. That is, the gardener waters the plants every morning. Today, he is cutting the flowers also. My father takes the bus every day to work. Today, he is going by car. So what is on a regular basis and today what is happening, okay, these two can be brought together in order to get the child to understand. Similarly, past and past continuous and all that, okay. At any point, if you have any doubt, please do raise your hand, and Himani will unmute and you can ask the question. I would
Yes,
very much like it to
absolutely.
be interactive. Yeah.
Or you can put it on the chat box. I'll take it up from the chat box as well.
Yeah. And Himani,
So
please feel free to interrupt me and tell me that somebody has asked a question or whatever.
Ma'am, so there is just a question from Christina, ma'am.
Okay.
She's just said that could you please suggest some activities to teach tenses above grade 7?
Yeah. So can I come to that a little later?
Yes.
Because let me just go through 1 and 2 and all that in the lower classes.
So ma'am,
and
in
then
classes for class 2, there's a question which says children using ing form of the verb in grade 2. I believe that's the question. So that's how it must have been, that how we come to the students? How do we bring to teach the students to use the ing form of the verb in grade 2?
Okay, but that's exactly what I have been telling. You are anyway using the ing form. When you are, just look at any grammar book, pick up any grammar book, and when you are starting with verbs, okay, how are those verbs written? They are written as sitting, sleeping, drinking. Please look. So those are the ing form of verbs. Okay. So, and then when you're speaking with the children, I'll be coming to that in a little while. When you're speaking to the children, you are using the ing form of the verb. Don't look at it as an ing form of the verb. Don't look at it like that. Look at it as the continuous tense. I am speaking. What am I doing just now? Okay, I am speaking. And when I am speaking, I happen to be using the ing form. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't put the rule in front of you and then adjust your teaching according to that. First you teach, the rule is supposed to be backing you up. Right? So when I'll come to that, just one sec. So I told you to begin with the present continuous tense because it is the most commonly used tense. As I have again and again said, it is the easiest tense to use, to teach. Firstly, because like I'm saying, you are using it in your conversation daily. Good morning, children. What are we, please sit down. What are we doing today? Which tense am I using? I'm using the present continuous tense. Child, why are you talking? I'm using the present continuous tense. Why are you still standing? Come on, sit down. I'm using the present continuous tense. Okay, so I'm constantly using the present continuous tense. And secondly, it forms a great segue to the identification. As I have just said now, we are telling, when we identify the verb, we are saying walking, talking, etc. From there, you go on to the present continuous tense, that is the ing form of the verb. Tenses cannot be taught unless you are speaking a lot. You are using those tenses. Every time you get stuck in any particular concept, or especially with something like tenses, think about how you learn your mother tongue, your original native language. Think about it. Did anyone make you sit down and teach you, this is the present continuous tense in Hindi, or this is the present, this is the present continuous tense in English? Nothing. They are just using it. And from there, you pick up and you use it, and you use it correctly. So start with verbal exercises, engage in a lot of conversation before you get to the writing part. Do a lot of picture talk using the present continuous tenses. That is, what is so-and-so doing? For example, if we have a picture like this, okay, what is Adam doing? Now, I just picked it up from the net. So the names are all, not Indian, but you could have something, a picture, and you're having all names, of Indian names. But anyway, what is Adela doing? She is, well, actually strumming the guitar, but the child may not know how to use the word strumming. She is playing the guitar. What is Dimitri doing? He is talking on the phone. What is Will doing? He is throwing garbage in the dustbin. Okay. What is Kevin doing? He is going on the skateboard. What am I doing? I am using all present tenses. Okay. What are you doing when you're answering? You are answering using present tense, continuous tense. And this is how you get them to be comfortable with using the present continuous tense. And after that, you can go on. Now, what happens in the classroom situation? We don't like to get the children to talk. We would rather that they sit down quietly and write. Why? Talking makes the class noisy. The principal might object, especially when the children are all answering excitedly and the principal happens to pass by, because it always happens when the class is the most noisy. That's when the principal will walk past, right? When the children are behaving themselves and beautifully doing something, nobody happens to see you at that time, right? It's always at the wrong time that the principal walks, and then she or he might object. What is this? How can you not control your class? And so you would rather that the children are writing. Okay. Then if you are speaking in the class, where is the record of what you have done? There's no record. And so when the parent comes, you don't know what to, how do you say that, oh, I had a nice chat with your child? Is that parent going to be happy with that? So what happens? We make the child write and write and write. Worksheets, notebook, this, that, and the other. Because when a notebook is covered with writing and you have corrected it, everyone is impressed. And unfortunately, we as teachers keep everybody in the forefront except the child. We need to get our HODs to feel happy with us. We need to get our principal to feel happy with us. We need to get the parents to feel happy with us. The child, well, okay? But unfortunately for us language teachers, language is a subject that relies more on conversation. The more you talk, the better the child, grasps the vocabulary also. I've had parents come up to me and say that, ma'am, I want my child to improve his vocabulary. Can I get him to learn 10 words from the dictionary every day? And that is the worst possible way to learn a language. Whatever interest he has in the language, you are absolutely killing it. And especially with English, where there are so many nuances, so many different meanings to a particular word, and how you use the word, how you pronounce the word, everything changes according to the context. How can you do this? Therefore, it is only through conversation that you can learn English, learn any language, and especially the English language. Now, when you are writing also, okay, when you're teaching verbs, certain small things you have to take care of. If you're conscious of it, okay, the child is not conscious. You do not make the child conscious of it, but you be conscious of it. What are these things? When you're teaching verbs and you're writing them as single words, walking, sitting, dreaming, sleeping, whatever, start it with a small letter. Do not use capital. Why should you not use the capital letter? Because very rarely do we begin a sentence with a verb. Very rarely. The verb comes somewhere in between. When we, most of the time, there are always exceptions, but most of the time, when we begin a sentence with a verb, it is a gerund, which is a verb plus a noun. Okay, so verbs usually come somewhere in the middle of the sentence, and therefore you do not use the capital letter when you're writing a verb. So start it here itself, because the child is seeing all the time that you're using small letter. He will also start using the small letter. Otherwise, what happens is, in the middle of the sentence, suddenly he uses the capital W while writing, watching or walking or whatever. The second thing that you have to keep track of, be very careful, is that when you're giving exercises asking the students to underline the verb, please ensure that the child underlines is smiling, not just the word smiling. Because is smiling is the tense of the verb, of the sentence. Just the word smiling is the present participle. If you in grade 1 and grade 2 are careful about this, the teachers teaching in the higher classes, 5th, 6th, and 7th standards, are going to be very, very grateful to you, because they are going to have students what is a continuous tense, who do not say walking is a continuous tense, because they have to teach what is a present participle, and walking is a present participle. It is not considered a finite verb. We will talk about that later on. So if you're giving fill in the blank exercises for tenses, don't give sentences like the girl is dash in the park. You have to be very careful. What is it that you're asking the child to do? Like, what is the purpose of that exercise? Is it for the child to know what is the action that is happening? Or is it for the child to know how to use the present continuous tense? What is it? If it is that you want the child to identify the action, then go ahead and say the girl is dash, because you want the child to identify is the girl walking or talking. But if it is on tenses, it should be the girl dash in the park is walking in the park, or and then of course it depends if you're doing singular, plural, etc., etc. Is it is walking or are walking? All these things, please be very conscious about what is the learning outcome. What do you want to see in that exercise? You as a teacher have to be very, very careful. Okay, now please do not use questions like fill in the blanks with the present continuous tense, fill in the blanks with the past continuous tense. Don't do that. It is not done even at the council level, even at the board level. So why are you doing? When we are not asking 10th standard students to do it, why are you asking 1st and 2nd standard students to do it? Naturally, you're finding it difficult. When there is an easy option, take the easy option, okay? And make the exercises as close to real life situations. So give passages Or if you're giving sentences, they should be related sentences where the first sentence you have given the answer. Okay, so suppose you're taking the story of, say, Goldilocks and the three bears or whatever. Take some story that they know. Goldilocks is walking in the forest. She is going into the room, whatever. Okay. When you're then, once you have done the present continuous, then you can use the past as well as the future continuous using the same technique. Use when you are speaking, again, please be very, I'm again and again emphasizing, because we do not take care of these things when we are speaking in the class. We want the child to be perfect in their grammatical sentences, the sentence structure, and we are saying in the class, what are you doing? So smart, huh? This is how we are speaking in the class. What you're doing is terrible English. What are you doing? If you're an English teacher, that's what you should ask, not what you're doing. What your name is? What kind of a sentence is that? Right? So ensure that you're questioning. So when you are speaking, you have to, like, for example, you're saying, what am I doing now? The child is not going to answer in a complete sentence unless you are blessed really by God. The child is going to answer in single words only. Talking, or talking to us. So you repeat, yes, I am talking to you. What was I doing when I entered the class? Running, ma'am. Yes, I was running. Why do you think I was running? You were late, ma'am. Yes, I was getting late for the class, isn't it? Tomorrow your parents will be coming to school. What do you think we should do? Okay, things like that. And I would say that use this mirroring technique. What is a mirroring technique? We are using it all the time. How do we get a particular accent? Think about it. If you are a South Indian, if you are a Tamil, I'm speaking because I'm a Tamil, so nobody needs to get offended. Okay. If I'm a Tamil and I have grown up, say, in a small little village in South India, my English is going to have a very, very strong South Indian accent. But the same me, if I was born in Punjab, my English is going to have a very, very strong Punjabi accent. I am a South Indian. I am the same me. Why did the accent change? Because I am mirroring. I am, whatever I am seeing, whatever I am hearing, that's how I am speaking. So you make it a point to speak correctly in the class. The children will speak correctly. And how does the thing go? LSRW. Listening, speaking. In the lower classes, these two are very, very, very important. So what were they doing? So take the same thing. What were they doing yesterday? Adela was playing the guitar. Dimitri was talking on the phone, etc., etc. Then after you have finished the continuous tenses, come to simple tenses, but start with the future tense. See, I'm asking you to do everything completely opposite or completely making a mishmash of the order of the chapters which are there in your textbook. So please don't get all worked up. Try it and you see it will work. Whatever you have been doing has not worked, no? Try this method and see whether it will work. Okay, so start with the simple future tense. Why? Because it is the simplest. Because when you say walking, and what is the base form of the verb? Walk. And then what is it that you will add and never change this word walk? Will walk. I will walk, you will walk, he will walk, she will walk, they will walk. You are never changing that. And it is a future tense, right? And remember, we are talking about teaching the child form of the tenses. So then, what will we do tomorrow? We will go to the zoo. How old will you be next year? The child will say 7 years. Yes, you will be 7 years old. And Anjali, you will be also 7 years old. Yes, Anjali, you also will be 7 years old. You are repeating what the child is saying, but you are saying it in complete sentence. You do not need to say, answer me in a complete sentence. The more you keep speaking in complete sentences, the child will answer. So now again, go from continuous tense to this thing, because you may have used something. What is the man, what is this? Wait, let me go to that. What is this man doing? He is cycling. What is this girl doing? She is falling. What is this girl doing? She is skipping. So what do you think they will do if it rains? He will go home. She will get wet. She will get dirty. Okay, so automatically you will be able to transition from the present or whatever past, future continuous to the future tense. Like I said, it is simple to use the future tense first. Plus, when you're writing also, walking, you write it down as walk. Skipping, take those words which are different, where it will change. So skipping, skip, you are dropping the last consonant. Okay, driving, you are adding drive, you are adding an E. You don't have to tell to the children, see children, driving, remove the ing, put an E. You do it. And the child will learn it. If a child asks you, then you give. Because when a child asks you what has happened, he has noticed a change. So he is paying attention. He has noticed a change. When he has noticed a change, it has aroused a question in his mind, and he comes and asks you. He is curious. When he is curious, he will be more receptive to the answer that you're giving. It will register. Otherwise, you are just going on screaming and the child is not listening. Remember the proverb, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. So let the horse feel thirsty. No. What you're doing is you're opening the mouth of the horse and shoving water inside out, and then wondering why is the horse not feeling thirsty at all. Give him a chance to feel thirsty. Okay. Similarly, writing task, after a lot, once you have shown multiple examples of how to frame sentences in the future tense, give the children your usual writing exercises, but again, make sure that the children underline will walk and not only walk. And in the fill in the blank exercises, sentences will be given as, tomorrow I dash for a picnic, will go. Also, you have to remember that when you're talking about future as well as the past, you have to use different time frames. Tomorrow, for the future, it will be tomorrow, next year, after some time, in the next period, at the end of the day. So you go on changing and using them so that the child doesn't think that future means only tomorrow. Similarly, past tense, you can say yesterday, last year, in the last class. Okay, so keep changing so that the child understands what it is. How will you do it? While talking in the conversation, not go on making the child write. When you're using when you are sure that the child is able to form sentences using future time, you can then introduce the past tense. But at this juncture, don't keep saying, remember when we did the continuous tense, that time we did like this, and now you do. No, that is over. The child will make the connection. You don't make the connection. When he makes the connection and comes to in front of you, then you tell him what it is. Please let him feel that curiosity. And don't worry that he would not have understood. He is very smart. Okay. And I'll show you why. You remember these nursery rhymes? Everybody? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Right? I use these nursery rhymes for all kinds of things because it's beautiful. I'll tell you why. Do you ever think whether the child will be confused about the tenses used in this? Look at all the verbs that are used. Jack and Jill went, not goed. They went. But the child knows it is something connected with going. Okay, Jack fell down. So you ask the child, what happened to Jack? He fell down. Can you show me? The child will fall down. He has understood. Fell means something to do with falling. Okay, but the same child, when he comes to grade 1 and 2, will say gourd instead of went. Why? Because you're making him conscious of it. Don't make him conscious, he will be fine. Okay, look at this again. Went, irregular verb, fell to live, fell down, in irregular verb, broke, irregular verb, came again, it's irregular, tumbling, participle. All this, but he is magically doing it at the age of 2. Similarly, itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout, down came the rain and washed. Now, came and washed, is he going to get confused that both are in the past tense? No, he has not thought about it. It is just entered. Washed the spider out, out came the sun and dried. Look at the spelling of dried. Is it D-R-Y-E-D? No. But does he ask you? No. You ask him to afterwards to write it, he will write it, D-R-I-E-D. Why? Because he's seen it, and English is a visual language. So use nursery rhymes, use normal speech techniques. You are not going to have a problem with tenses. Believe me, the tension of tenses we have brought on to ourselves. So by this time, now then once you have done the future, simple past, by the time you have come to the simple present, what is happening in your other, now most teachers of the primary are teachers who are teaching other subjects also. So by this time in your EVS and all that, you're coming to what about animals. So the cow gives us milk, we make a kennel for the dog, bees live in hives, present tense, simple present tense. There it is in the textbook, and we are automatically using the present tense, and the child will understand that the cow gives us milk, that it is a general thing. Because even if you ask him, the cow gives us milk, is the cow giving us milk? They will say, ha 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 ha, no ma'am, where is the cow? He is not giving us milk, right? So they have themselves understood within, without you telling anything about it. So what do we have to do? Whatever is difficult, we absorb it and we try to give it as simply as possible to the children. And that we will do when we are consistent in the use of the tense in our spoken language, in the examples we are giving, and in the exercises. In the middle of your, suppose you're giving something like you have just taught past tense, for example, simple past tense you have taught to the children, and you have not really used too many words with the double consonants. Let's say that that's what you have done. So you have done something like walked, talked, what else? Pushed, crushed, crashed. These are the words, for example, you have used. Now in your blank, suddenly you cannot say, Arun dash on the chair, and Arun push the chair on which sat. You can't use the word sat over there suddenly, because you have not done irregular verbs over there. So you have to see that when you're giving an exercise, whatever you have done in the class, that's what you are giving in the exercise, because that's what he has heard. Okay. Now, I have spent so much time with the simple tense and the present continuous tense, and about grade 1 and grade 2, because this is the same pattern that you are going to use for the other tenses also. So one thing, please, 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 please don't do this. Don't ever give the children such a terrible table. If you give this to the child is like, what? First form plus S and ES. What then? What is this first form? Am is are plus first form plus ing. What nonsense is this? Right? So that is why the child becomes, completely phased out when it comes to tenses, and he finds it very, very difficult. You are making it difficult. Something which is very, very ordinary, you are making it very difficult. Why don't you just give a word and use that word as an example? He'll do it. Absolutely. And when you're doing that word, you just think, okay, yesterday, children, we are going to use the verb give. Yesterday, I dashed the book to Pradeep. Gave. Okay. Today, I dashed the book to Pradeep. Are they going to say give? They will say, I am giving. Every day, I dash the books to the children. Give the books. Okay. So the way when you are speaking, you are filling in the table. Do not give this V1, V2, V3 kind of thing. Please. That is for us as teachers to understand. Please don't bring it down to the children. They don't need it. Rather, you give something like this. I mean, here also, this again, I've taken from the net, but we can make some further improvement to this. Because look at what this is doing, okay? It is saying, this is the past tense, this is the present tense, this is the future tense. These are the 3 points in time: present, past, future. Then here what they have done, they have first taken the present perfect, I mean the perfect tenses. Then they're saying, okay, this is past tense, before that is past perfect. This is present tense, before that is present perfect. This is future, before that is future perfect. Look at the arrows that they are going. I would, ideally put a dot over here, right? I would put a dot rather than an arrow. I would put a dot here and then put something like that. And see this, continuous, it is happening. So the arrow itself is going. Okay. And then you have the past perfect continuous, which starts at a particular point and going, going, going. But this should have been a dot. Okay. I will talk to you about the various tenses. So visual reinforcement helps a lot in remembering the nature of each tense. And now we come to what is basic about the tense. What is the nature? The simple tenses, they just provide the framework. This is present tense, this is past tense, this is future tense. They just give you a very broad framework. That's it. Continuous tenses, they tell us about an action that is happening for some time. Perfect tenses, they deal with actions that are over. Now, when you are introducing, now I'm coming to the 6th and 7th standard students. So those teachers who are doing that, teaching them, maybe you can just get up now and listen. So those of you, when you're talking about perfect tenses, the one thing, first thing, the guru mantra or whatever it is that you're telling them is perfect tense means it is over. Continuous tense means it is going on. It was going on, it is going on, it will be going on. That is continuous. Perfect tense means over, it is over, it will be over. Okay, then what is the difference between past perfect tense and past tense? Both are over. And yet you need a past perfect tense. So what is it? Then you tell them that a past perfect tense is that one action was over before another action got over. For example, yesterday, I reached school, the bell rang. Both things happened yesterday. Both actions are over. But I want to say that first the bell rang and then I reached the school. So what do? Yesterday, the bell had rung when I reached the school. So I'm using the past perfect and then I'm using the past tense. So in order for me, you as teachers, what you should do, you should give them sentences that have got 2 tenses, so that the child knows where to put the past perfect and where to put the past tense. It is meaningless to give a sentence with just one word, one blank, and then expect that the child should put past perfect. Why? How can you expect the child to understand this in a logical manner? Because a past perfect exists in relation to the past tense. It doesn't exist on its own. So you cannot say fill in the blanks with the past perfect tense. He dashed the book yesterday. And you just say the child, because he's saying past perfect tense, he says he had given the book yesterday. You mark a tick, you give full marks. He is happy, you are happy, child is happy, the parent is happy. No learning has happened. Okay, so the past perfect tense must be given in relation with some other tense. Then the question should arise among your children when you're talking about the present perfect tense, that it is present, then what is over? If perfect tense means it is over and we are talking about present tense, what is over? So the perfect tense is, present perfect tense is also known as the immediate past. I have just spoken about the past perfect tense. It is just over. The present perfect tense is talking about something which is just over. Okay, when an action is supposed to be over and we are talking about future tense, now what is it? Doesn't make sense. Then you will say, by a particular time, that action is over. By this time, tomorrow, I will have completed my webinar. Okay, so that way. So you use day-to-day examples, but keep that thing in mind that perfect means over, continuous means continuing. Then you come to perfect continuous tenses, which are really, really difficult and confusing. But what it means is it is an action, it contains both. It is over also, it is continuing also. Okay, so it is an action. Suppose past perfect continuous, it starts in the past, it was continuing for some time in the past, and it got over in the past. By the I had been living in Delhi for 6 years before I came to Mumbai. So what happened? I came to Mumbai, that is in the past. Okay, that action is over. I came to Mumbai. Before that, I had been living for 12 years or 16, whatever. So the action of beginning to live in Delhi began 12 years before I was in Mumbai and continued for 12 years. And then it stopped when I came to Mumbai. So that is past perfect continuous. Arpita, I can see that you have raised your hand. Himani, do I take questions now or do I finish?
No,
And then
we take it towards the end. I have a couple of them, more of them.
Okay, fine.
So
now present perfect continuous is again an action that began in the past, continued for some time, and it is getting over now. Today, I have been teaching for 20 years. So when I am speaking, that 20 years is getting over. I have been teaching for 20 years. My teaching began 20 years ago, continued, and when I'm speaking with you, that time it is over. The 20 years are over. By next year, I would have been teaching for 21 years. So by next year, 21 years gets over. But it began 21 years ago, continued for 21 years, and then got over. So that is the future perfect continuous tense. Okay, I hope I have not confused y'all because I know this, I have to do it very often with the children, but I'm hoping that as teachers who have been dealing with this is just deja vu for you. You know what I'm talking about. So do not tie the child down with too many rules. Okay, because if you go on telling 101 rules, even when he is speaking correctly, he is wondering, am I correct? Because 100 rules are there, he doesn't know which one applies over here. And anyway, at the board level of all the boards, they are giving paragraphs and they are giving, so it is contextual. So he does not need to know that he is using the present perfect continuous tense and now he is using this present continuous. He doesn't need to know, he has to use the tense. So relax, you don't stress yourself, and you don't stress, and so you don't stress your student also. He will get the hang of using the tenses when you use the tenses in your in how you speak every day of every year. Okay, I have actually been very wonderful with the timing because I've got exactly 2 minutes left. And therefore, I really thank you all for your attention. And now, please go ahead and ask whatever questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a wonderful session. And one thing that I'm very curious, and I would like to share my screen on that. I'll bring it back to yours. Is that as you were talking, I tried to open this, and this is how we've given tenses is one of our books. So after every lesson, we've kind of given these kind of graphs throughout the book. Most of the lessons have it. And
Right.
that's the whole idea. Instead of giving rules, this is what we've done in our main
Correct.
course book.
Absolutely. Yes.
So Madhuban, I think so that way I feel Madhuban's on the right track when we are talking of screen sharing. This is my new voices book for ELT. I'll stop screen sharing. It was just, I was very curious to share this.
Oh,
And
wonderful. Let me, is there any way that you can stop my sharing? I don't know, how do I?
It's already stopped, ma'am. It's already
Okay,
stopped.
great.
Because
great.
I
Okay.
shared it's stopped. Arpita ma'am, you wanted to ask a question? If yes, if you could raise your hand again, I'll unmute you. Just raise your hand again, Arpita ma'am, if you have a question. Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you for everything. Ma'am, my question is, we need to emphasize on the perfect continuous tenses for class 7 and 8.
Okay. I didn't hear you very clearly, but I think what you said was, do we emphasize on the perfect tenses for 7th and 8th? Is that the question you're asking?
Ma'am, perfect continuous tense.
You don't actually know. If you personally ask me, you don't need to use the perfect continuous tense at all. Don't. Stop at perfect tenses. Okay. We use the perfect continuous tense very, very, very rarely.
Yes.
So according to me, don't. But then, when I say some things that, why are we using this, don't do it, teachers generally react with, oh my God, how can we not do this in the class? It is there. We have been doing this all every year and all that. So I hesitate to tell, don't do it. Okay. But if you ask me, no, there is no need to do it.
Right. Thank you. Any other activities of regarding tenses that we can do for 7th and 8th? Like for junior classes, we have a lot of things to do. But in 7th and 8th, I do understand that we need to speak more. However, if any activity, if you could suggest for class 7.
Okay, so why don't you take any of the books that you have? It need not be just the English textbook. It can, why don't you take the science book or the math book and ask them to underline, take a particular passage and ask them to underline all the verbs, and then try to, use it in various tenses. Or you can take a recipe. Okay, tell them to bring a recipe and then use it in the various tenses. Okay, what are you like, milkshake or pav bhaji or whatever it is that they like. So what happens, see, a recipe actually is very, very useful when it comes to teaching tenses. You can do everything. You can say, I cut the vegetables, I do this, I do that, I cut the vegetables yesterday and I did this and I did that, I am cutting the vegetable, I have cut the vegetable. You can do anything. So you can take, what I do sometimes in the class is I take a video and I don't have the words at all. I mute it. And then I ask the children to tell me what is happening. Okay. And then I tell them, okay, now you have told me what is happening now. Tell me the same thing. If you have to tell, okay, tomorrow, what will happen? The same thing. Okay, yesterday, suppose this was something that happened yesterday, what had happened? That way. So you can do anything. You can use any commentary, for example, cricket commentary. You can use a little bit, and then I don't know. I have used the instructions that they give in the plane, because that is something that all the children, you get so irritated, listening to it every time. So that is something that you take and then you go to town with it. You use it in different tenses. And it sounds very funny. And it'll really be of interest to the children.
Right. Thank you.
Talking of instructions, we could also ask them that, how about if the same instructions you would have to give for in a bus or during a car ride, so the creativity added to the tenses.
Yeah.
That could also be another interesting. Kakuli ma'am, you have a question and you've raised your hand. Sia ma'am, I know you had a question before, but I had a Kakuli ma'am's question on my question bank also. So I'm going to ask her to unmute herself first, and then we'll come to, I don't know, Kakuli ma'am, have you been able to unmute? Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for unmuting me. Good evening to everybody present over here. My question is as ma'am told, to go with some situations, especially for class 7th and 8th. But my question is, ma'am, as you know that we have to go with the syllabus also, right? But if we are emphasizing on tense with giving out some scenario or some situation, it is very difficult for us to complete our syllabus, because you know that structural syllabus is very it's very vast, specifically for ICSE board. For each chapter, ma'am, 10 to 15 exercises are there, and you cannot skip any of the exercises according to the board, according to the principal, according to the authority. It becomes very difficult for a teacher to go, because I personally believe, as my teachers have taught me, not to go with the rules. Box rules doesn't help anyway. And I teach the same way in my class also. I give them some situation, but I always lack my portion from my examination. So anyway, I have to run in a hurry-burry so that at least they get some points with their syllabus completion. So can you suggest me any other method to deal with my children so that the concept is also clear and the syllabus is also next to completion? That's my question is.
So Kakuli ma'am, I'm also from the ICSE, and I have also had this major problem about completing the portion and all that. That is, I think, not particular to ICSE. It's for every teacher, and especially English teachers, I think, But so I would suggest, see, it is like this. What is your focus? Is it completing the portion? Is it teaching the child? Okay, and just bear with me for a little while. I know immediately in your mind, it'll be like, the principal is asking me to complete the portion, right? That is the thing. But if you have the children on your side, and you will have the children on your side if if they know that you are really trying your best for the children. Okay, so when you go, for example, for substitutions, why don't you just speak to them or take something with you rather than
I do, ma'am. I do.
Yeah, so that's how I would use for activity. See, it's like this. Yes, you have to complete the portion, and yes, you have to get the children to do all the exercises. Unfortunately, many principals insist on that, right? But part of it they can do at home. If they are clear with it, they won't have much of a problem. So some of it they can do it at home. You can just call out the correct answers, for in the class. Some of it you can do in the class. You will not need to do every single exercise in the class if you know that the concept is clear. And the concept will be clear if you have been talking using those tenses.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, ma'am. But the thing is that I'm from a very remote area, and parents over here, if you don't complete the syllabus, they just say teachers have not completed the syllabus, and they give a write-up to the principal that this teacher is not at all appropriate for the class. She's not able to complete the syllabus. So we are like in a
No, ma'am. Kakuli ma'am, I think there is this. I'm not saying don't complete the syllabus. I'm saying there is no need. Suppose there are 5 exercises to be done, right? Now you do 1 or 2 in the class, the rest they do it at home. You are completing the syllabus, but you don't
Yeah.
need to get them to do everything in the class.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay. Now
Yeah?
we do that only. We do some of the exercises, we give it for homework, but ultimate the next day the child is there. That means the concept is not clear. Again, you have to
That's exactly
clear
what
the
I'm telling
concept.
you. So
Yeah.
if you concentrate on getting the concept clear, the rest of
Yes.
it falls into line very easily.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
is the thing.
Yes.
If we are that's why I said, where is your focus? Is your focus in getting the concept clear or in complete? Automatically the syllabus gets completed if the concept is clear.
Yeah, because I believe that English 1, specifically language subject, is equivalent to mathematics. If you don't understand, you're not
Yes,
there.
you can't go
You're
ahead.
not there.
Yes.
So
And
I
also
believe that.
please tell the teachers in the lower grades to whatever are the tenses that they are doing, to do it thoroughly,
Mhm.
so that the life becomes easier for you.
Yeah, but
Because I
that
know
is
in the
what I,
9th standard, when you have suddenly you have got Shakespeare and this and that and
yeah,
everything to complete, and then direct and indirect speech child doesn't know anything.
yeah,
I know I have taken many extra classes and all that to complete.
yeah, yeah, struggling, ma'am, but yet coping out, because as I was in a bigger city, but got married to a smaller city, and the schools are like not according to us. So
Yeah.
maybe it is the problem, because remote areas have a very less quantity of teachers who are throughout English medium teachers or something like that. So we struggle with that also, but we try to train the teachers also. In fact, especially I try that to give them a proper knowledge that yes, when you go to class, you should have a clear concept about it. But it's like in a big ocean, one fish struggling with everything. So anyway,
Yeah, no, my heart goes out to you. I understand, but this is the only way to teach.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Nice talking to
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kakali ma'am. I have now a question from Vaishali ma'am. I don't see your question. I don't see your question, ma'am. If you can put it again, I'll take it up. In the meanwhile, ma'am, there's a question from Sia ma'am. She says, in which classes we introduce the names of these tenses?
Don't introduce. I would say that there is no need. Okay, you first do the tense and then you just tell them this is the tense that we were using. Okay, so for example, in grade 1, first you're doing continuous tenses. Do it, then you say this is known as present continuous tense. Then when you're doing you transition to the simple tenses. Then once you're finished, then you do not see what we are doing as English teachers. We're literally putting the cart before the horse, and then we are wondering why is the cart not moving. Because first let us teach the children and then give the labels. We give the labels first, we give the rules first, and then after that we are using it in the class, and that's not the way. Always
Perfect.
use it. I always use examples from real life. If however well I explain to you using wonderful pictures on how to make a chapati, okay, unless you make the chapati, you're not going to get it. You have to do it. You have to make sometimes a map of India and things like that, and then finally you get it round. But that is the learning process.
Another question I have is from Arpita Bhattacharya ma'am. Bhattacharya
I have just spoken to her. Yeah.
Yeah, she asked, should we emphasize on interrogative and negative sentences in simple present tense in class 7 and 8?
Why don't you use it? You use it, and it becomes then you're emphasizing on it. Don't say today we are going to use it. Speak, ask questions, get the child to ask. You say that, okay, I'm giving this answer, now you think what is the question for it. It becomes a game to the child. So I'll say, Arpita is sitting in the first bench. Now, can somebody give me a question for if this is the answer? So then there you're saying, who is sitting on the first bench?
Ma'am, next, Sia ma'am's just asked. Sia ma'am saying that then that means if we can introduce the names, we can give them in the notebook, the names of the tenses, right?
Okay, follow this pattern. First you speak, go have conversation. Then after that, you give them exercises. And then after that, you give them what is a simple tense, present tense or whatever in the notebook. The rule comes later. The use of it comes first.
Perfect. Ma'am, Vaishali ma'am, can you put up your question? I've unmuted you. Yes, ma'am, I could find yours.
Question to Anuradha is, I just put on my video. Hello, Anuradha. Thank you for the session. I have a question that the text taught across the grades have sentences in all tenses.
Sorry, what?
The texts taught across the grades, they have sentences in all tenses form.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So only the simple and the continuous tenses are taught. How do you suggest the awareness of the other forms are to be passed on to the
Vaishali ma'am, that is why I use the nursery rhyme. When the child comes in the nursery, there is no tense.
Correct.
That is taught. But
Yes.
the child understands.
Absolutely. Yes.
So when you're telling the story of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in junior KG, are we teaching them past tense?
No.
But the child understands?
That's interesting. Yes.
Yes. So that is my whole point, ma'am. And I'm so glad you are asking me this, because this is that's what everybody is saying. Acha, we have taught present continuous tense, but in the textbook there is past tense or past perfect. How will the child understand? Array, the child understands. The child understands. We think that the child doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I have conversations with teachers, I ask them. So I'm asking you, ma'am, tell me, when did you come to know what is the meaning of celebrity?
I think it's like known to every child because they keep listening to that word. Yes.
Okay. If I tell you, give me, when did you come to know the meaning of fascinating?
Quite early, yes.
But can you tell me whether you looked it up in the dictionary and all that?
Not at all, because see, if the teacher is proficient using the words of this kind and also speaking in
context,
the correct
ma'am.
Yes.
It is the context in which we are using. So even if the child is reading, how many times when you're reading a storybook do we go into the dictionary? We get the meaning by the context. Only very rarely, when simply we can't understand, we look at the dictionary for the meaning of that word.
True.
Most of the time it is a context. Language is absorbed as a context, in context alone.
I agree, yes, yes.
Right?
So what
doesn't
I
matter
understood from your session is that in the first two grades, only the present and the continuous should be taught.
Yeah.
As a structure.
But you can use all the tenses.
Yes, but all the other tenses can be used. Yes.
Yeah, you are using.
Yes, that is the clarity that I wanted.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because don't you say, children, have you finished your homework?
Yes.
What are you doing? You're using the present perfect tense.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, so it doesn't matter.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Vaishali ma'am. I have a couple of similar questions from Lata ma'am, Subhadra ma'am, and Priya ma'am also to a certain extent, where you've asked teachers for activities for tenses. I think I'll not take those up now. Instead, I would, all the teachers who are already registered on the Commune, you'll be getting an email. So we'll put that as an activity sheet or as a takeaway in the email. I'll give you as, so we'll, myself and Anuradha ma'am, we'll probably create, with her help, I'll create an activity sheet and we'll share a list of activities which you can do it grade-wise. So primary level, middle school level. So we'll kind of share some activities with you. Yes, Naveen sir's asked, can we give them some words like usually, always, daily, every day to form simple present tense?
Absolutely. Fantastic. Yes.
Priya ma'am's also asked that what about creative writing part? Which tense should we use? Present continuous can't be used everywhere.
Okay. Just now, like what I told Vaishali ma'am, that when you're teaching these two tenses, but you're using every single tense. So don't stop the child from using any tense that he wants in normal writing. You cannot talk to your children if you're only using simple present, I mean, the present tense and the continuous tense, you are going to use different tenses while you're speaking. And you are going to have textbooks, you are going to have storybooks, which use everything. Okay. So what you do is in the creative writing, everywhere in compositions, everything, let the child use what tense he wants to use. And especially creative writing, you should not limit the creativity of the child at all.
And let him write in a flow. Ma'am, then I have a question by Padma Priya ma'am. She's saying how to improve use of tenses in standard 10.
I know. By the time they come to standard 10, the damage is so badly done that it becomes very, very difficult. But what I would say is, give them a lot of practice from, like I said, from the textbooks, from the storybooks, from books that they are familiar with. Give them that and tell them to go by their instinct. In fact, even if I'm teaching my students, I tell them everything about the tenses, but I said, this is just for information. However, when you're looking at a passage, go by the flow, go by your instinct. Where you don't know what to do, that's where these kind of rules come in play. So in the 10th standard, it is just through, bombarding them with a whole lot of passages.
Right.
But as a teacher, you have to look for passages that have got different tenses. It's not only past tense.
A mixed kind of a bag.
Yeah.
Subhadra ma'am, Deepthi ma'am, and Rupali ma'am, they have similar questions. They are asking that when we have students who are from a non-English speaking background or are poor in spoken English, and especially in the primary years, how do we make them understand?
Okay. So that is a problem. Definitely it's a problem. But then I would suggest that you take it a little slow in the lower classes. Please talk to your principal and reduce the syllabus. That is the first step. Reduce the syllabus, because you need to get the children to be familiar with the language. So there's a lot of importance that you need to put on spoken English, on the children getting used to hearing English. So let them watch videos, you speak to them, all these kind of things you need to do. Therefore, the syllabus takes a back seat. That is possible in the lower classes. I'm sure you will have that, or at least you can speak to the principal and say that let us not do so many chapters. We will do only this much and give us more time for this. Yeah, so I can see a question. Should I take that up? How
yes,
much
yes,
is
ma'am.
translation? Translation method, maybe for nouns, it helps. That to some time. It is not really very helpful because English and any of the Indian languages have got very few points of convergence. Like, I mean, you have so many homophones and homonyms and all these kind of things. No, ma'am, even if it is in the primary level, how do you explain to a child late can be to come late? It can be, when they come, they say that my late grandfather was this thing. So is he coming late all the time? Is what the child, my grandfather is no more. Why you're saying that he is late? Right? So those kind of things where the word changes. So it becomes very difficult.
In case of, we can be bilingual. Can we be bilingual if instead of
that's
using
what I'm saying.
translation?
So where it comes to nouns or something like that, there you can have it, but it doesn't work all the time. In the beginning, yes, it works. For example, if you're saying sit down and the children don't understand, then you say betho, and then you say sit down, or you can show with actions and things like that. Therefore, I'm saying in the primary, for such schools, you need to go very slow.
Okay, Revati ma'am, you had a question. Could you please put it up? I've just asked you to unmute. Revati ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for this lovely session. And as a librarian, during the substitution periods, I have reading sessions for the children. So could you give me some tips like how to enhance I have to take right from first standard till 10th standard. And now what has happened is due to the lockdown, a lot of children, they have lost the continuity. So it is very difficult to, make them actually read, and we have difficulty. So the norm I have followers, I give a book to the child and I ask the child to read 5 words. If the child can, and the child says, I cannot read, they just push the book away. So when they read those 5 words, I say, wow, you can read. Then they get the confidence. But all children do not get that confidence. So could you give me some just steps to how to improve their reading levels, ma'am?
Okay. So Revati, tell me that if I were to tell you, okay, Revati, go to the kitchen and just take out 5 ingredients. Okay. So then you're wondering. Then I say, okay, you know what, Revati, we are going to make kheer. Okay. So why don't you get the items that we need to make kheer? So then, because you like kheer, you will say, but what are those items that you need? Then I will say, think about it. What is there? There is milk, there is this, there is that. What am I doing? I'm getting you engaged. I'm getting your interest. So if you just tell the child, read the words, the child is not going to be interested. Why don't you, there is this Karadi Tales. At least it used to be there that, they had the story recorded, and they used to have a book, the story book. And every now and then they will have, there would be a sort of a sound made where to turn the page. This was, of course, when my son was very young and I had used those books. He will automatically, he was hardly 2-3 years old, but he would turn the page when that sound comes. And he would be looking at the book and he would be listening to the story. Okay. So in the beginning, you please, you read out to the children, and you have a lot of recorded stories, not videos, audios only, because you should give them the storybook and have the recorded ones. Okay. I know that Madhuban also has got a lot of these recorded books. Even their textbooks have got recordings. So you can even do that. You can use, because the teachers sometimes may not have the time to play the whole recording and all that. You can do that. Okay. So get them excited with stories.
Perfect.
And the words will automatically follow.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll just end this session with the last question for the day. Sia ma'am's asked, you will be needing it later. Is this usage correct? Sia ma'am, it's a correct usage.
Yeah. Let me tell all of you, English, I mean, any language, it keeps evolving. It keeps changing. So there is some things which we say, oh my God, how can you use this? After some time, you feel sheepish when they say that it has been used. For example, prepone. Okay. That word actually did not exist in the English language at all. We Indians have brought it in. It was either postpone, okay, or advance. When you want to do something before the time, you don't prepone the function, you advance the function. But we Indians, we said, well, okay, postpone, opposite of postpone is prepone. And now it is added on to the Oxford Dictionary as a word that has come from India. So if a child uses prepone and then you mark it as wrong, the child says, but ma'am, now it is accepted. Right? So we are evolving. So some things that we never used to accept when we were younger is being accepted now.
Perfect. So I've got a question saying, "Sabko certificate milega? Will everybody get certificates?" I mentioned in my introductory session. I repeated in the morning at the beginning of the session. I've got a list of 21 active teachers, and I'm very happy. So they'll be getting an active participation certificates. Now, teachers, you tell me. You give me a thumbs up if you say I'm a sabko participation certificate. I'll give a slightly different to the active ones and just a participation to the others. Is it justified or no? I should go with my thought, give it only to the active participations. Just give me a thumbs up if you agree with me, and don't do anything if you don't agree with me. Oh, I have some people who agree with me. Justified. So Charita ma'am says
can I
justified.
speak on behalf of all the teachers? The very fact
Yes,
that they
ma'am.
have taken time off and come and they are attending the session on a Saturday, I think all of them should get a participation certificate. Yeah. So the only
So
thing is,
Anuradha ma'am is using her veto vote. Her veto power. See, ma'am, I have some people who've sent you hearts for this.
oh,
So you've used your veto. So we also said at the beginning of the session that whatever our resource person and the mentor says is final. We don't argue on this, or whatever my team says. So my team also has given me hearts and, thumbs up on what my mentor has said. And she's been very kind. So we'll share certificates with all the participants. But yes, I would want to do one thing. I would want to share the active participation certificates with the people who've been very active. We'll have slight variation there. I think that I'm okay with this.
yes, yeah.
Do you agree?
Himani, just one request. I am not able to see half the things that are coming in the chat. So if you could,
I'll mail you the chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I think we'll keep the chat on record in case we've just missed out on any questions. Teachers, rest assured, we'll try to make it up and we'll try to send you answers eventually. This is a new initiative and we're making a wholehearted effort. Trust me, I have more than half my team with me, and hats off to them. They've been more active than me during the session. Without them, I don't think. Thanks again to Biju, Kirti, Preeti, Smita, and Dhruv. Anish, I see some of other people who joined a little late, without whom the session wouldn't have been possible. Thank you so much, Anuradha ma'am, for taking out the time and doing such a wonderful session. And the response and the feedbacks are amazing.
I just want to tell the teachers that please tell me what you would like to do in the next session. You can tell through Himani what you would like me to do. Again, we will take whatever is the most common topic.
Perfect. So teachers, we have a WhatsApp group. If you've not registered so far, Dhruv, can we share the registration link on the WhatsApp, on the chat box? Please register with us. Dhruv has just shared the registration link. We'll add you to our group, and there we'll put up a Google form wherein you can tell us. I have one suggestion, ma'am. Prepositions and creative writing. Creative writing, ma'am, is going to happen in the skill development session. And here we have determiners, transformation of sentences. Oh, prepositions is coming multiple times. So far, I think prepositions is going to be the next winner. Please register yourself if you've not registered with us, and we'll keep in touch with you. You'll have all the group admins in the group. Please connect with them. You can tell them, you can send them messages and connect with them at any point of time and let us know what you want. We'll share your certificates. Allow us some time to work on and create your certificates and send them to you. Rest assured, they will reach, and see you soon. And our next session is on August 27th, which is on listening skills, developing listening skills. We'll again share the joining link on WhatsApp group. Thank you so much.
That will not be with me. Mine will be in the next month.
Yes. So we have two kind of sessions for anyone who's just forgotten. One is Master Grammar, which goes with Anuradha ma'am, and then the skill development with Sudha Ravi ma'am. And the skill development session for this month is on August 27th, and it is on developing listening skills in students. We'll go LSRW. We'll cover all the 4 skills and a lot of more things as per your needs and requirements. So stay tuned with us and stay connected with us. It's always a pleasure. And like ma'am said, thank you so much for being there with us on a Saturday evening. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everybody.